Ji, Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second episode of the All About AI show. This show is being presented to you in collaboration between Analytics, TenX, and CXO Global Forum. Analytics and TenX is an AI-based company working globally in North America, Pakistan, and Middle East. And CXO Global Forum is basically a knowledge-sharing platform. And the purpose of this show is to actually create some content that is meaningful to the audience and the viewers, and that helps you understand what is going on from the innovative technological interventions perspective globally, not only in Pakistan. One of the biggest things that we keep hearing about these days is digitization, digital transformation. In the board meetings, this is something that is being discussed really aggressively. You are traveling across the world, you see a lot of billboards on the airports talking about digitization. You go to your customers, meet C-level executives, and all of them have digitization and digital transformation on their bucket list for at least the next 3 or 4 years as one of the key items. But what's really intriguing to me is that what actually is digitization, and if is this just a hype like with what we've seen about the clouds maybe 10 years ago globally, or is it something that is now being realized, like materialized actually? How AI can accelerate it? What is the role of data analytics in all of this? What is the actual value that we see for the customers from the customer experience perspective, from the business agility perspective, and so many questions that I'm sure that it's not only me that I have in my mind. All of you would be thinking about those questions on a daily basis too. So to answer these questions today, we have a distinguished panel, I must say. All of these people have been my colleagues at one point in time. Some are my colleagues right now even. But one thing that is common between all of them is that they're all my mentors, people that I've learned from, and I'm really excited and honored to have them today on the stage. Alhamdulillah. So the good news is, we will answer your questions as well at the end of the show, but the first 60 minutes will be focused on really learning from these well-established gentlemen to understand what the digitization, digital transformation, and AI is, and how these technological interventions are helping businesses globally. So I'll just quickly introduce all the panelists one by one. I'll start off with Khuram Rahat Saab. Khuram Rahat Saab honestly does not need any introduction. Khuram Saab is a brand name, to be honest. He is currently working as the country director for Unifonic, which is an amazing omni-channel platform helping businesses enhance their customer experience. It's a Middle Eastern company. We'll talk about it later as well. Khuram Saab was formerly leading Teradata as the managing director for close to 20 years. An amazing, successful career that we've seen, and we've learned a lot from him. He is also currently elected as the vice chairman of Pakistan Software Housing Association, widely known as Pasha. So a wealth of experience. And one thing that I must say about Khuram Saab is that he is one of those challengers, sellers that has trained many people about how to effectively handle customer communication. So I really admire him for the learnings that I've received from him in my life. Another gentleman that I have on the call today is Asif Ahmed. Again, an amazing colleague, amazing person, a very capable gentleman. He is currently heading IBM in Pakistan and Afghanistan as country general manager. When I was working with IBM, I had the pleasure of learning a lot from Asif. Asif, having close to 22 years of experience, is widely known as a trusted advisor for many industries, many customers in Pakistan and outside Pakistan as well. He has really helped customers devise their data strategies, AI strategies, and their technological interventions for the next 3 years at the board levels as well. So thank you, Asif and Khuram Saab, for being on the call today. We have got Ghazanfer Iqbal. Ghazanfer Saab, again, my mentor. I really admire him a lot. When I was working with Teradata, especially in Lahore, I learned a lot from him. He is someone who really helped Teradata penetrate into the government and financial sector. And then in the later part of his career with Teradata, he really established Teradata's business in the telecommunications sector as well. And now currently, he is leading and heading Teradata Pakistan as the country manager of the organization. So again, a trusted advisor. Customers really look up to him when they want to help define their data strategies for the long-term and short-term perspectives as well. And then we've got Murad Syed. Murad is currently my colleague as well, and Murad and was also part of Teradata formerly when I first met him. almost 16 to 17 years ago. Murad is a serial entrepreneur, has added a lot of value to the Pakistan startup community. He has co-founded and founded multiple organizations which are now very established. I must say, like Analytics, TenX in the US and Canada, AgriLift, which is a recent ag tech startup that he's just leading these days, and also TASDEEQ, which is Pakistan's first credit bureau. And I'm sure that as we speak, Murad has a lot of more ideas as well that are running in his mind and may be converted into startups very soon, inshallah. So there's a very quick introduction to the amazing set of panelists that we have, and we'll just get right into it without any further delays. But before I do that and start off with the questions, once again, thank you very much, Khuram Saab, Asif, Ghazanfer Saab, Murad, for taking the time. And I'm sure this will be one of the great sessions that we see today. So, Khuram Saab, coming to you, very first question. I mean, digitalization, digital transformation, this is a buzzword. This is a word that we all encounter a lot. But honestly speaking, based on your 30 plus years of experience, my request to you would be that let's start off by simplifying what this actually means. Because honestly, we all have our own definitions. And I honestly see a gap between definitions as well across industries. So, based on your 30 years of consulting experience advising top companies, could you please help us simplify and specify and help the audience understand what digitization actually is?
Thank you, Adnan. So, simply put, digitization or digital transformation is basically a process where you're moving something which is a manual process into a digital or an electronic process, a document which is physical or an interaction which is physical to is moved to be digital or using digital medium. So that's the simplest form. So from that perspective, this digital journey or digitization journey has been going along for quite some time. Now, the key thing is that when we what is the aim behind this digital transformation or digitization? So there are few key things. The first one is to bring in efficiencies. So bring in efficiencies in the processes to make sure things which are taking more time can be done in a much better way, and also there is some way of tracking information in an efficient manner. The second most important point is that you take away the need for people when they are interacting or transacting to be physically present in one place. So that's where the role of internet or electronic channels come in, where you really allow people to do to interact or transact remotely. And the third most important thing is that when we talk about digital transformation, a lot of people focus on the front end channels, whether you have set up WhatsApp or you have set up a contact center or a web presence or a mobile app. But the real value of any digital transformation is that when the moment you move information or transactions or interactions through the digital channels, that's where you really are able to generate a lot of data, and the ability to actually use that data and transform that data into insights and use those to offer better products, better services to the customers in an efficient way is to me the real value of digital transformation. So I'll stop at that, and I think that's from my perspective what digital transformation should mean or would mean.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, Khuram Saab. Thank you very much, and I absolutely agree with you that without having the backbone that supports your data-driven initiatives, the dream of digitization can not actually be achieved and materialized because that becomes your backbone of your it's like a central nervous system, to be honest, for any organization that is looking forward to adopt digital transformation. So really,
True.
that's really insightful. Thank you very much, Asif. Coming to you, so I mean many organizations, and even in Pakistan, all of us go and meet many C-level executives as well on daily basis. We keep hearing this line about transform those initiatives, but somehow all of us would agree that there are a lot of challenges that are being faced, like in their process, right? They're struggling. So In your view, and based on your experience with these customers, what do you think is hindering this journey? What is stopping or at least slowing down this process of digital transformation for the customers?
Oh, thank you very much, Adnan. I think that's a very relevant question because I'm very fortunate to interact with a lot of different customers in a lot of different industries at different levels in their careers and within their organizations. So I think the more important part uh, is, Adnan, to understand what do we need to start this journey. Anything that hinders one of these things becomes an inhibitor and stops the journey. So, I mean, before I start, I think you have used the right word, which is journey. So, this is where I think the story starts, right? So, as long as you understand that this is a journey, uh, you're good to start. But in case you understand your understanding of this digital transformation or this digital journey or digitalization is that is going to be a state that you're going to achieve one day and that will be it. I'm sorry, you need to revisit and rethink on your understanding. So you've used the very right word. And this is where I believe the story starts. Then, Adnan, for any change management, there are a couple of standard 8, 9, 10 factors and fronts that you need to analyze. And the story then starts once you have the right understanding of what we are talking about. The story starts with a driver. What is the driver for change? Why should an organization, a business, an NGO, a government a department should adapt to these new technologies and bring transformation in the way they work? So there is a long list of drivers which can be that factor which initiates this journey. So it can be your OPEX reduction, it can be an increase in revenue, and a cost optimization, managing your competitors, your brand loyalty. It can go to risk reduction, workforce productivity. I mean, it does not stop, right? There can be many drivers. So first thing that anybody who wants to pursue on this journey needs to understand what is the driving force behind the change, behind the new ways of working, transformation that they want to bring into their organization. Then the list goes on, especially we are talking about digital. So I will just extend the definition of digital in today's world, and I would try and also cover things like artificial intelligence, automation, adaptation to cloud technologies, and all, because those are the new technologies in today's digital transformation. But just automating a process, probably, yeah, you're doing some kind of digitalization, but you're not there where you ideally should be, right? So the second thing, besides the driver, is the leadership's understanding and willingness to change and adapt to the technology. And, if your driver is strong, it becomes easy. If the driver is weak, it's difficult to get buy-in from the people who matter in the boardroom, right? Then your existing technology infrastructure. So different organizations, depending on the maturity of the technology infrastructure that they have within the organizations, so the journey would start from a different level, or they will continue it in a different direction depending on what kind of investment they have made into their technological infrastructure. Then overall organizational maturity, and when I say of organizational maturity, especially in today's world, I'm talking about the readiness of data, the lack of silos in data. So it's primarily around data. Besides this technology infrastructure, I think data is also a very important thing. If you don't have the right data in place, your journey will become difficult, or it will be more difficult for you to start this journey. Then, of course, availability of talent. Many organizations, they want to adapt changes, they want to bring in new concepts, new ways of working, but unavailability or lack of talent becomes a major inhibitors. Then the list continues, right? So at times it's access to capital, because for some of these journeys you need a decent amount of capital to for the investment, and then you start off. So that at times becomes an inhibitor, especially for our small and medium enterprises sector. This is what I've experienced. They have the willingness. There are some of these small organizations in their niche are competing with global players. They know how important the technology and this digitalization is, but lack of or a lack of access to capital becomes an inhibitor for them, then you know, and I would like to close my answer with the last point that I can think of is fear of unknown. For many organizations, the fear of unknown is the old school thought. It's lack of competition. It's monopoly that they're already enjoying, and they don't think that it's required at this point in time. So these are different factors. As long as you have these things working well in your organization, the journey starts. Any of these things is missing becomes an inhibitor. So if I have answered your question, thank
No,
you.
no, absolutely. You're spot on, Asif, and that's really insightful. Thank you for the answer. And I think your point about the silos that are existent in the organization because of the lack of data integration and all those things, and the lack of access to the capital and the thought process and the driving force. I think all of these things collectively will actually become the framework for organizations to come actually successful with their digital transformation journeys. Because if you don't have all these ingredients in place, right, especially the consent of the C-suite and the ownership from the C-suite, I think you won't. You can spend millions of dollars on good technologies, but you won't be able to achieve your goals, with few exceptions, obviously. So, Murad, coming to you, I think I'll take the cue from what Asif said about the lack of and the dearth of quality data and the silos that are existing. Since you are a hands-on data scientist as well, so I'll just come towards AI a bit as well into you. What do you think that people want to embark upon AI journeys and they want to do digitization by accelerate their digitization processes by adopting AI, but the dearth of quality data is becoming really a big inhibitor and big a showstopper for them. So, what are your views on this problem that the organizations are facing about the dearth of quality data from AI perspective? I think your voice is breaking up a bit. Can you hear me? Sorry, Murad, I think you're breaking up. What I'll do is I'll just move on to the next question for Ghazanfer, and then I'll come back to you. Hopefully, by then you'll have your internet connection sorted as well. Uh, uh, Maybe in the next couple of minutes or so. So, Ghazanfer Saab, first of all, thank you once again for joining. My question to you is from Teradata's perspective as well. Like Teradata has been instrumental in helping telecommunications sector realize the value of the data and making sense of the data, right? So, do you think especially in Pakistan, based on your wealth of experience, do you think that AI and data integration has helped telcos in realizing their goals of digital transformation, or are they still struggling? I think there's some issue with the internet connectivity. What's up? Can you hear the first and Murad? Murad, can you hear me? I think this. Okay, Asif, can you hear me?
Adnan, I can hear you, but I think we are having some connection issues because even your voice is breaking a bit.
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
Asif clearly.
I can hear Khuram Saab very well, but I think
Able to hear Murad and Ghazanfer, is that correct?
So So maybe what I can do is, while Adnan is also sorting out, I can just try to take the question and share some
Organizations
thoughts
are
about it. So, when we talk about organizations struggling, I think, Asif, you did highlight some very good points about in terms of what are the factors which are impeding the use of the digital journey or digital transformation. One of the key things I would like to add is the mindset. You did touch about it. I think it's what is most important is that a lot of organizations are still seeing this digital transformation more as a showcase, more as something good to have. Just like about a decade ago, organizations wanted to have ATMs purely to show that they are moving forward with technology. So a lot of organizations have these mobile apps, websites, etc., etc. But still, the mindset of using taking this digital journey and making data and to me data is probably the most important asset any organization has today, and that is an understanding which organizations need to develop, and it has to develop right from the top. So I think the most important thing or the impeding factor is that organizations still do not see data as the most important asset. So there is a lot of little effort in ensuring the quality of data, something which was being highlighted by Adnan and Murad. And I think at the same time, the most important thing is that when you start looking at and understanding that there is this phrase that in God we trust, everyone else brings data. So that's the most important thing, and the way I always tell
Hanji,
people is
Khuram
that.
Saab, thank you very much. I think there's some connectivity issues. I think Murad is back now and Ghazanfer Saab is back now as well.
Sure.
Adnan, can you hear
Can
me?
you guys hear me?
Adnan, I can hear you well now, and I think in your absence, Khuram Saab managed the stage, and Khuram Saab, well done, sir.
I've
So,
actually
Adnan,
changed my connection as well. I'm not sure if
No, no, we can hear you. So I'll just finish. So no, I was talking about the fact that really the biggest impediment is that mindset right at the top, understanding the value of data, understanding that they need to all decisions need to be driven based on facts. The human intervention is absolutely there. It is the man who has to finally take the decision, but start taking them on facts rather than the gut feelings. So I'll stop at that and hand it back to Adnan to take things forward.
I think
Adnan,
it's still facing some challenges.
sure.
So while Adnan sort it out, Khuram Saab, I absolutely agree with you. Uh, it all starts, I mean, that is why I mentioned with Adnan used the word journey. So that was my position, that as long as you understand it's a journey, okay, you have taken the first step in the right direction. But unfortunately, what we experience in our country, while on one side we have absolutely fabulous leadership within different organizations who understand the importance of new technology, new infrastructure, new game, we do have a lot of people who need to further develop their understanding of how to best use these assets of data and technology in the interest of their own businesses and organizations. So, Adnan, I think we can see you
okay, I'm
moving now.
sorry, extremely sorry. I think we were talking about digitization, but I think we're struggling with Pakistan's internet connection right now. So I'm sorry about that. Anyways, am I audible now? Visible? Audible?
G, G, you
Great.
are. So
So
please take over.
thank you, Khuram Saab and Asif and everyone else for keeping the discussion on while I was absent because of some connectivity issues. Anyways, I'll just come back to Murad. Murad, I hope you can hear me now. My question to you was relating to what Asif said actually, that many organizations are actually struggling in achieving their digitization goals because of the dearth of the quality data and the silos that are actually existent in the organizations when we talk about the data sets. So, what are your views? Because obviously you are a hands-on data scientist. So, what are your views in terms of the struggles that we are seeing because of these silos that are existing in the data and the lack of quality data?
First of all, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, audible.
Okay, great. So yeah, I believe this problem exists across. It's not just in Pakistan; it's a global problem that people want to do data and AI, and don't realize that in order to do that, they need to have quality data. So imagine if you think of data science as a production assembly line. Data is actually the raw material. So if you don't have all the ingredients, or if you have poor quality ingredients, the output will be a poor quality product. And so the problem exists that since they haven't seen the value of data through AI, they haven't invested in fully capturing the data that would be required to use in certain use cases. And and in order to embark on that journey, there has to be a certain, obviously, faith that they need to have, and that data can be useful. And by now, obviously, everyone is aware of a lot of stories about how international organizations use data, but what they lack is that the investment in automating the systems or processes to actually capture that data end to end. So, and this is one of the things which when we work with organizations, we've actually been approached by organizations that they wanted to do certain AI use cases. And when we actually went in and found out that they had no data to actually implement such use cases, we would have actually go and refuse that we can't do this project for you, whereas they would be willing to pay for that service as well. And over here, what's important is the C-level suite needs to understand that they need to, in order to embark on this journey, they need to have a data roadmap. And when we talk about data roadmap, I don't specifically just mean infrastructure, that we put up a data lake, or we put up a data warehouse, etc. They need to have a data roadmap in terms of what is an important data for the organization, and anything that I can capture that can help. A very good example of this would be, I got to meet Google Maps early product manager, when Google Maps was initially built in the US. And we were talking about data and Google's data first mentality. So he said the culture of Google was that capture as much information as you can. We don't know how we will use it, but we will find a way to use it later on. And organizations need to have that kind of mentality. So they have systems in place where they don't use those systems properly. For example, if it's a financial institution taking a loan application, they will try to get the minimum information captured in the system just to get the process completed, not realizing by that when they leave out data, they leave out the potential benefits and automation that can happen because of collecting that data. So I do believe that this is number one impediment in end-to-end digitization, which Khuram Saab also mentioned, that they digitize the front end, but the decision making which needs to be digitized has to be done through AI, and AI needs data, and they don't have that data. So that is a challenge as well. And I believe overall, as the industry leaders over here as well, present over here, we, working with our clients, try to provide a roadmap, not only in terms of technology, but in terms of what you should be capturing. And in the past, organizations that we've worked with, we can safely say that the amount of data that they've been capturing has increased tenfold. Talking about structured and unstructured data, And but you have, and in order to get them on this roadmap, you have to identify some low-hanging fruits, early wins, where they can see that data can be used, processes can be automated end to end, and then generally they start on this journey.
I think that's awesome, Murad. And I think talking of low hanging fruits, I would also be interested in knowing how these low hanging fruits could be really identified in other sectors like agri-tech, because you have co-founded a company by the name AgriLift. So we'll talk about it soon. But coming to Ghazanfer Sahab, you first of all, apologies because of some glitches that we've seen because of the internet connectivity. But my question to you was that based on your experience with telcos, especially in Teradata, do you think that AI and this automated decision making at the back end that Murad and Khuram Saab talked about, artificial intelligence, machine learning, is helping telcos accelerate their digital transformation or not? And what are your thoughts on that? I think Ghazanfer Saab, I think Ghazanfer Saab again is offline. We'll just wait for him to come back. Meanwhile, I'll just come back to Asif. So Asif, we were talking about organizational maturity as well, and you actually hinted towards that as well. I think one of the reasons that we are a bit slow as compared to the Western world in adopting AI, in adopting digital transformation journeys, is the organizational maturity and the change of culture. And one of the other reasons, obviously, we've talked about fear of unknown as well, and the other data silos as well. But you think this organizational maturity and the change of culture is actually one of the key reasons which is making us actually lag behind as opposed to the rest of the world?
Uh, I'm sorry, Adnan, your voice was breaking in between. Can you please, if you can
Okay,
quickly summarize the question, and I can
sure,
answer.
sure. So my question to you, Asif, is that do you think that the organizational maturity and the cultural shift, disruption, are these the things that are actually making us lag behind as opposed to the pace with which the Western world is adopting the AI and digital transformation?
Adnan, these can be the reasons if they exist in an organization, but these are not the only reasons. So we need to understand. For example, you mentioned about AI. The journey to AI, when you embark on that journey, or when you want to actually use AI to benefit to your organization, department, or business, there are multiple things. For example, I'll start off with the easy part. The easy part is the availability of technology. And since you're talking specifically about the organizations in Pakistan, so for example, you need a good stack of software, you need a good stack of infrastructure, you need good services, consulting capabilities, you need industry-based research. These are, from technology point of view, these are some of the key elements that you need to embark on this journey. Now, these things are available in Pakistan to every organization. Yes, it comes at a cost, but the availability of these four things, which I consider part of technology stack, are available. Then we move on. You need a strong use case. Use case, if it is strong, supported by management, you'll get the financials, you will get the organization work onto it. As long as you have a strong use case and a business case available in front of you, which is benefiting your organization and the business and helping the management meet their KPIs, right? So this is now, along with that comes the management buy-in. Of course, if you have a strong business case, you have a strong use case to adapt artificial intelligence and technologies leading to artificial intelligence, you are in good hands. There's a high probability that you'll embark on this journey and you'll be successful. Then, of course, talent. In Pakistan, yes, uh, we are lagging behind in the kind of talent and the amount of talent, the quantity of people that we probably need to fulfill the demands coming to us. That is a challenge, but then it's an industry academia nexus that can help bridge that gap. Then there are many other programs being run by government, non-government, non-profit organizations across the country, which are helping to develop this kind of talent. So we can come over that. Then, as we discussed before, the last thing that I would mention, in what you actually need to be ready, is a lot of data or
Yeah.
data. If you're not managing your data, if data is not important for you, sorry, let's not embark on this journey. Because if you don't believe in the fundamentals of the new world order or the artificial intelligence or digital journey, then probably you need to do something else, right? So a lot of data is also kind of very important, and respect the data. Give the due respect to the data that you have gathered. And to respect the data is to do the right data governance, is to manage your data right. I
Yeah.
tell it to a lot of people, to my customers, and even to my own team, that AI is not going to be a reality until the data silo problem is solved and data can be put to work. And this is what I call respecting the data. You need to respect the data. Globally, I can tell you, IBM runs a global AI adoption index, which has increased by 4%, which means that now 35% organizations worldwide have started to use AI in one form or the other. I don't have the data for Pakistan,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I can tell you that globally, this is what is happening. Additionally, 42% of the organizations are exploring AI, right? So this is happening as we speak. If I come back specifically to Pakistan and talk to you specifically about our customers, I also see that drive. But yes, the understanding varies from organization, industry to industry. Um, and there are some, I mean, I'll just give you an example before I give mic back to you. In one of the cases, I witnessed a great organization embarked on an AI journey, developed data models, started to actually get benefits from that data model. Then time passed on. After a few months, they started to see a decrease in the value they were expecting to come from these models. And of course, we being their service providers had to go back, look into it, and we kind of realized that the models were not constantly trained. The trends had changed, new channels were introduced, new kind of problems were being created, but the models were not. So then we again sat together, and we all thought that, guys, it's not a one time deployment. It's not really one time. It's a journey. It's a continuous process. You need to continuously train on the new data, the new kind of feeds, new kind of data, new kind of sources. So you need to understand these things, and we are good to go. I don't see, inshallah, Pakistan will do wonders. I mean, with people
Oh,
like you, I'm sure it will be great.
Inshallah, thank you very much, Asif. I think that's really exciting to know, and the examples that you've shared about the real life problems that you're trying to address through the predictive models. I think that I absolutely agree. This is something that we face on day-to-day basis. It's not about only investing once in the model; it's about running them and then investing in the OpEx as well. And it's a change of mindset and the change of culture as well. So, and the other thing that you really touched upon was, and I really like that, is the patience. You need patience with AI models. You need patience with your journey. As you said, you keep stressing upon that it's a journey, it's not a one-off thing. Ghazanfer Saab, I asked a question of you. I'm not sure if I can see you're back, but can you hear me? Ghazanfer Saab, for some reason, your voice is breaking up really bad. So I'm not able to hear a word for some reason. I think it's probably the internet connection at your end, because for rest of them, I can really hear them. They're pretty audible. If it's possible, could you please try to change your internet connection? Maybe you can move to your mobile hotspot. Anyways, I think Zanfer Saab is Khuram Saab, you're on mute.
जी, मैंने कहा ऑन अ वेरी लाइटर नोट आई थिंक वो ग़ज़नफ़र साहब जॉइन करते हैं और जब तक उनकी बारी आती है वो शायद बफर पूरा फुल हो चुका
वो
होता है।
बिल्कुल अब या तो ये कर लेते हैं, what I can do is I can wait till he joins back, but I don't want to wait for long. So
I can talk about telco being part of Telenor, so and working with
जरूर. So
Teradata.
I think
So I can
let's
give a bit of my perspective, and maybe Ghazanfer, once he joins, he can add to it. So I
sure,
think
sure.
as far as telcos are concerned, in terms of digital transformation, not just telcos, but I think generally look at logistics, banking, etc. A lot of progress has happened, and especially on the front end part. So now if you have your mobile app, you can pay your bill, top up, etc., etc. Pay even at the government level, pay government taxes, etc. Those kind of things have definitely happened, and then in terms of, if I give example of Telenor, where I was involved in creating those AI models and advanced analytical models to really create a data monetization practice for them which they're using, and we've used it very effectively in terms of especially the early days of COVID to do market research and identify a lot of trends, and those were shared with a lot of organizations as to how the trends were and who were the people who were in need of government support, etc. So I think a lot of good work has done. But again, the journey is a long one, and probably we have just started scratching the surface. Since Ghazanfer is there, I'll let him talk
Yeah,
further.
Ghazanfer
I
Saab,
hope
we
I
are
can. I'm audible right now.
you are audible, and we are so
Great.
excited.
Apologies for this. Really, not
Not an issue. All
not
yours,
really like
Ghazanfer
that.
Saab, all yours. आपसे
So,
question
can you
मैंने
repeat
पूछा
the
था.
question?
जी, question is कि Ghazanfer Saab, based on your extensive experience with telcos, do you think that telcos are now realizing their digital transformation goals, and what role do you think the data and AI in machine learning can play in accelerating this journey for them, for the telcos specifically?
Okay. So let me give you a bit of perspective to the question that you've asked, so that
Yeah,
you can understand the
sure.
then the answer related to that. When you're talking about the digital transformation in the telco industry, you're talking about massive sets of data coming in from the the many source systems. You have OSS, BSS, network. You have subscribers. You have data sets, which are social data sets coming in. Then you have your 4Gs and 3Gs. We are planning into 5Gs, and your transactional processes, and they are happening concurrently. So they are happening 24/7. So it's basically massive amounts of data which is coming in. The data workloads are immense, and once you have that, and then it's coupled with the real time or near real time need for decision making capability there. And that basically, you have volume and you have speed that you need to kind of juggle, and it's not possible really to do it humanly possible. So you need the
Yeah.
assistance of the AI initiatives that are there in order to take benefit of that. And if you're looking at the foundation of the digital transformation, you're looking at customer experience, you're looking at sustainability, future proofing, and AI as one of the pillars to drive the digital transformation. One word of caution, I think Asif touched upon it, and so did Khuram earlier on, and it's very important. What will it do for you? A lot of times we start running before walking, and that's key. And we have seen in our industry, killing a fly with a cannonball. So
Yeah.
need to take two steps back, really, really put your thoughts in. What will it do for me? What is the business problem that it's going to address? Can it be addressed through AI? Can it be addressed through something other than AI? And I think that's where people are kind of very eager to have that in on their CVs, on their organizational map, but they forget this basic stuff, and that's where all the problems that I think Asif and Khurram were alluding to also come into play, because they never really understood why would they need to have this initiative.
I think this is really insightful, Ghazanfer. Thank you very much for the comment, and I'm glad that finally we're all sorted
Yeah,
with
so am
respect to
I.
the internet connectivity. Murad, Ghazanfer Saab has made a very good point, and I want your thoughts on that. Ghazanfer Saab mentioned that at times we're trying to run before we walk, and I think this makes me think. We were discussing the other day as well that many AI vendors, many AI consulting firms are misguiding the customers and the prospects as well. They show big goals, they show very fancy stuff, very jazzy stuff, while at the core of it, the customers don't have that data that is needed to train the models and to really get the meaningful insights from their AI journeys and machine learning models. So what is your thought on that? Do you agree with my statement and Ghazanfer Saab's statement as well, that people are not really taking cautious and measured steps, and they tend to run before they walk and not doing their homework when it comes to adopting the AI and digital transformation?
So, Adnan, as you mentioned, we spoke about this recently, and I do agree. We've seen this happening a lot in the market as well. That consultancy firms would come in and say, basically promise anything under the moon that we can automate or do through AI, without realizing even if it's possible or not. And if you look at these organizations, I think there are a couple of reasons why it happens. One is their own maturity, their own skill set, ability, etc., in delivering such projects. And second is not doing the proper due diligence of the client as well in terms of understanding their maturity, where they reside, which Asif also mentioned. Is their data integrated? Do they have that data to actually fulfill that use case? And a lot of the times they pursue the wrong use case as well, which also Ghazanfer was mentioning that is that the best thing that they should be doing? Is that the best ROI that can be generated through that use case? So what happens is in the end, when for whatever reason the project is given a green light and they go ahead, the project fails. The failure is associated with that. Oh, this AI and ML is just buzzwords. You can't really generate value from them, and not necessarily that the approach that was followed by the organization was wrong, where it had to be done in a proper manner, where you need to have data integrated, data quality ensured, and choosing the right partners as well. So I'll give you one example. Like we recently worked with the microfinance bank where we developed a credit scoring model for them. We spent about 6 months in data preparation. 6 months just looking at and preparing the data, and the model part was maybe a couple of weeks. Train and fit is just 2 lines of code. All the power is in the data. What external data can we bring in? How we can clean it? How we can integrate it? What makes sense? What doesn't make sense? And that model now is in production. Their credit decisioning is being done through that credit score. Very few organizations in Pakistan have done that. There have been vendors who've tried to do that and failed, and they created a negative sentiment that, oh, this cannot be done. So I think there has to be some sort of um, uh, better understanding in terms of how to get to the end goal, because everyone wants to do AI, but more awareness of actually how to get there. Lastly, I would say that the nature of machine learning and AI projects are such that even if you, let's say, have all the right ingredients, where you have the data integrated, you select a good use case. If it's a novel use case not done before in an industry, not proven, there is a chance that model still might not uh, yield results. So I should separate those two, because even in that case, the organization should try and experiment and have a quick fail approach where they can quickly see if there's value and build on it. So not be shy of taking on something which hasn't been done before, but being more thorough and due diligent in the process of understanding what can be done, and who to select as the right partner.
I think, thank you very much, Murad. A lot of good points and very insightful. Thank you for your comment. Ghazanfer, I'm coming back to you because I think it merits that we keep listening to you because of the connectivity issues that we've seen. So coming back to you very quickly, Ghazanfer, we were just talking in your absence that the involvement of the C-suite of the customers and the organizations and their will to adopt digital transformation and AI is very important. So do you think what is your take on this, number one? And do you think that the organizations who are driving these things right from the top are making more progress as opposed to organizations which are not seeing the drive directly coming from the top leadership?
No two takes on this. There's and it has to be that the ownership, the commitment needs to be there, and it can only come from the top. I'll just add one very critical part to this, which is at times missing, although even the message or the intent is very good, and that is the communication part. Sometimes the communication is not so vibrant or potent, because at the end of the day, the C suite is not going to deliver it. They are the visionaries, the strategies, it's to be done and executed by the team below. And at times, the communication falters. And once it falters, the ownership at the lower end does not get translated. So it's important not only for the CC to own it, but it's extremely important to be able to communicate it also, and the value, the need. It will it will be disruptive. So let's not really beat around the bush. Either the disruption will be thrust on you, or you'll embrace it. But and you need, it's more of a cultural thing rather than a technology thing or a business process thing. And it will allow, you will need to realign with new skills, new roles, and be mentally prepared in order to do that. And that's where the communication comes in, where the journey is embraced throughout the organization, not just at the in the glass towers where you say, "Oh, this do this," but then it's communicated in a way where the ownership also translates back into the rest of the team. We are also seeing in the recent past roles emerging out of this. The digital chief digital officer who's reporting into the CEO. So all those things are there, but to really set the stage, we need to really have the platforms, the awareness, the right resources to do that, and then obviously the execution parts then comes into play. So it's a puzzle with a lot of integrations points, and one obviously is complementing and supplementing the other.
Absolutely, Ghazanfer, you're spot on. There are a lot of ingredients that need to be coming together actually to help achieve these goals. It's not one-off thing, not in a silo that could actually result in the success. So absolutely agreed with that. Thank you for the comment. Khuram Saab, coming back to you. Khuram Saab, these days we talk about omni-channel integrations, and honestly speaking, what I've seen is that even if the data is integrated, if the channels are not integrated, and the channels are not talking to each other based on the data driven insights obviously, but if they're not meaningfully talking to each other, I think there is no digitization to me. I mean, you can automate your apps, you can launch a new mobile app, you can launch new front end applications, but the core of it, if you're not making the channels talk to each other meaningfully, especially in the real time, I think that is really a big miss from the business digitization perspective. So since Unifonic is an amazing platform, and I was just going through some case studies as well. What's your take on the importance of the omnichannel integration and the business value that lies for the corporates and the prospects from this perspective?
Thank you, Adnan. Very interesting question, and what you've talked about is something very close to my heart, even when I was at Teradata, because it's all about when we talk about omni-channel communication or digitalization, it's all about customer experience management. So customer experience management starts from where Asif talked about, or Murad talked about, the fact that you capture data from all the interactions, not just some interactions. Use that data to develop insights using advanced analytical models, AI models, and then once you have developed those insights, you talk about developing products and services, and then reaching out to the customers. And that's where the whole question about reaching to the customers, through the channel at the right time, through the channel of their choice. And then in case if you're not able to reach them through one channel, then what is the alternative channel you go to ensure that the message is delivered? Because a lot of organizations spends millions of rupees, millions of dollars trying to do marketing across different channels, whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is traditional SMS, or through Google, etc. But the key thing is, are you reaching out to the right audience, or the right target audience? And B, are you able to deliver your message when they are ready to receive it? Because that's the most important thing. And that's where I think we when we talk about omni-channel experience, and that's what Unifonic is really looking to do, is to ensure that we are able to use AI to develop better understanding of the customers, their channel preferences, and then allow our customers who are looking to reach out to their customers to be able to actually reach out to them at the time when they are ready to receive the message, and through the channel. And that's, you are so right, that's the real success of having any omni channel strategy. And no matter how many channels you have, if you're not able to make sure that you are reaching out to the people at the right time through the right channel, but then the most important thing is you're able to also manage the conversations across different channel, which means you're not starting the conversation if someone has looked at a product and service and has shown interest in it, then and he's reaching out to the contact center, or he has sent out a query, then without looking at the history, you're going back and asking him or her the same basic questions, because then they will just walk away. It's all about customer experience. So that's where we're looking to excel. That's where we believe organizations can develop a lot of value add by using the AI and the information to reach out to the customers through the right channel at the time when they're, and I'm using this phrase, they're ready to receive, they are receptive. Because if I receive a message when I'm in a meeting, I may not react to it. I may even look at it and think I'll respond. But if I'm receiving 50 messages in a day, then by the evening I would have forgotten which one to I was interested in responding. So that's my perspective.
That's really amazing, Khuram. Makes a lot of sense, and I think I totally agree with you. Otherwise, their digitization goals are not rightly placed. I would say they're not rightly set. I would say if you're not focusing on the omni-channel integration, because as you said rightly, customers would only respond if the timing is right. Otherwise, they lose the relevant interest in your business and the offers that you're sending to them through whatever channel that
the
you're targeting.
the old saying, strike when the iron is hot. I think
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
it's most relevant for us.
Absolutely. You're spot on. Asif, coming to you, you were talking about the quantity and the quality of the talent that Pakistan has. And from quantity, I absolutely agree with you. What we have seen whenever we have tried to launch global consulting centers, you talk of big companies like Teradata, IBMs of the world, and many other companies as well who are looking at Pakistan to have the right AI, machine learning, data, software engineering talent. But one thing that I think that we are struggling, that's my perception, please correct me if I'm wrong, and help clarify things. One thing that I've seen is that we have the quality wise we are doing amazing. Even in at the continent level, at the world level, we are really competing, delivering value to the Western customers. But when you talk about the quantity, I think we only have 25,000 new IT graduates coming in from the universities after their graduations, and this number is not sufficing the need, honestly speaking. So what is your take on this? Do you agree that quantity is a big challenge? And A, if it is, then B, what do you think could be some improvement opportunities? एक छोटी सी बात करूंगा. One thing, whenever I've seen big companies going to India, our neighboring country, the first thing that they do is they collaborate with the universities, and they up in a very upfront manner, they share the demand. They tell the universities, I will be needing 150,000 graduates this end of this year, and then they set up those universities to ensure that they get the talent. So what is your view, A, and then what are your suggestions on improving this dearth of talent that we are actually seeing in Pakistan?
Right. So thank you very much. I think probably this is the most critical aspect of what we are discussing right now. And this is so critical that I feel that this particular aspect can change the fate of this country. This is how serious I think this aspect is. Having the right resources which are required by global, we have a population of 220 million people. That's a huge population. Our people are good with technology. We have seen over a period of time. Probably, you know, we have done what we have achieved in technology with very limited support from around us in the country. We are not one of the most conducive environment for business or technology business. Still, if you look at the growth that PSCB, Pakistan Software Export Board, puts up, is quite amazing, right? From 2020 to 21 to 22, we are growing with a very decent growth rate of over 35% in this year. 48% from 2020 to 21, if I can recall it correctly. So this is brilliant, right? So this is a great opportunity. One thing is for sure, this point is done, dusted, right? Now coming to how or what kind of professionals are we producing? You have your own experience, Adnan. I'm glad to see that you appreciate both quality and to some extent the quantity as well. I would be very cautious in the words that I use. I would say we need to improve. 25,000 graduates. Yes, that's a number, I think, from the PSEB report. This is what we are producing every year when it comes to information technology. Uh, but quality is a big question mark. Uh, I think, and now I'll try and touch upon a little bit of the social aspect of our country. People spend their lifelong savings and earnings into their children's higher education. And if I go back in time, Adnan, when in mid 90s, when I was, filling up the applications to get admission into engineering university, the top universities that I had on my list at that point in time, more or less, these are the same universities I have for my son. Uh, After 22 years, I mean, he still has 4 or 5 years more to go, but I don't think any new place is going to come up and become a contender. So that's very alarming. We
Yeah.
really need to focus on the quality. The quality is not there. No. We in IBM in Pakistan, we also run a delivery center. You're aware of that. And we are a very extensive recruiter,
Yeah.
uh, but quality, we face challenges. We need to upskill our game. We need to improve the raw material, as I would want to call it, for
Yeah.
IT service industry. Our
Absolutely.
people are raw material, right? And even if you want to move on from there to product development to R&D, people are the most critical aspect of our industry. We are not there. We have a long way to go. That's my take, sir.
No, absolutely. I think, Asif, there are a lot of lessons learned. There are a lot of improvement opportunities that you have touched upon. And I think industry, academia, linkages, platforms are trying to do something. I'm not saying they're not doing anything at all. But I think Khuram Saab would know better because he's now a vice chairman of Pasha as well. And he's been serving Pasha for the previous tenure as well. I think Pasha is doing some really good efforts when it comes to the skill development as well, industry, academia, linkage as well, and we can have a separate talks specifically scheduled on industry academia and linkages as well, because I think this is what will address the challenges of the supply chain of the talent right at the raw material level, as you rightly pointed out, and this is something that needs to be addressed. So basically we still have 15 minutes almost, so we had a disruption, so we lost some time, but I'm getting so many questions, I'm getting so many comments, I'm posting some of them live. But I'm really, it's heartening to see that how this panel is being appreciated and liked by everyone on online right now. What we'll do is right now that we will take one question each from, we'll take some questions from the audience as well at the end, towards the last 7 or 8 minutes of the talk. But I'll come back quickly to Ghazanfer Saab and Murad for one quick question, and then we'll start taking some questions from the audience as well. So, Ghazanfer Saab, we were talking about disruption and the cultural shift. What we have seen is, and this is something that is widely known as well, but somehow we're not able to address this at the very root cause, at the very root level. People want to adopt digital transformation. People want to have technological interventions making business sense. Want to adopt data strategies which is really innovative, but the change of culture is stopping them. So the people who are sitting, who are going to be the actual business users of those technologies and interventions, they don't want to adopt them, because not because they can't do it, but because the cultural shift and disruption. They are so used to using Excel, they love working at the pace they are currently working at, their business is running as usual very fine, and this disruption is coming as an illness to the organization from their perspective. You can see I'm speaking my heart out, because this is the pain that I've been seeing in the market for more than 2 decades now. So, and I'm sure you have seen that as well. What is your take? And specifically, Ghazanfer sir, you have worked immensely with the government sector. I mean, you have tried pushing the government sector to use their data, right? So, what is your take on this disruption, cultural shift, and the problems that we are struggling in this area?
It's a mindset, Adnan, and it's there. My take is that you can kind of crib about it, but we need to chip away. So just extending to what Asif was saying, just take a minute on that, and I like to really appreciate the work that Khuram did when he was in Teradata, in trying to do the handshake with the academia and the organizations. And I remember us coming up with the curriculum on data warehousing, but nobody knew what data warehousing was all about, and taking it to the academia, bringing making it part of the curriculum, and then the students who were there had some sense of what what it was all about. I think we need to go back to the basics. We really need to take that responsibility onto ourselves, and then reach out as a mandate, and then do that handshake, because in the end it helps us also. And the quality of resources then that comes out is, if not 100%, at least 60-70% tuned to what we would want to have. And then you nurture and grow, and then mentor the new uh, the colleagues and resources who come into the frame, as in the IBM, the excellence center that is there, the Teradata's global delivery center that is there, and there are many others who have followed us on that. So I think there is a responsibility on us also, and how we are nurturing this aspect of the entire equation. Coming back to your question, uh, we have our comfort zones, right? And it's there in the head, and that's where we all these challenges come into play, where we are not willing to really let go of those comfort zones that we have. And but having said that, this AI ML, I think we all of us, Khuram, Asif, Murad, all touched upon it. There has to be a foundation laid in order to be able to do that, right? You cannot go into a cricket match and be a batsman without having a bat in your hand, right? It will be very difficult for you to score runs. So having a data which is unified, which is integrated, which is interconnected, that's the basic that you need to have. That's why the telcos are doing well, because they have done all of this before, so they have that foundation for them to do the next stage. But if I don't have all that, and then I have the wish to do AI or ML or whatever, I will fail, or I will, not achieve it in the time frame that I want to achieve. So again, a mental shift, I think that's key. As I said before, it gets thrust onto you, or you embrace it. And there were so many examples where if you don't do it, you kind of, in our own country, PIA. I'll give you example of PIA. They did not invest in their industry, and what happened? They started losing routes. All of a sudden, they were, all the planes were just sitting around, because they were out of that market and did not really kept pace with it. So, and there are multiple plethora of examples that I can come up with, where if you have not embraced it, it's thrust on you. But wherever I've seen, and that's a dilemma that we need to keep on chipping away, that there are set of people who get to a position where they're just not into it. But and that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I think it will take some time. It will take probably for few more years, I would say, when we overcome this cultural mental block. I would say, I would call
And we
it.
need to keep chipping away. We
Yeah,
should not lose hope. We should,
absolutely, absolutely.
and we have seen pockets of brilliance. So let's
Yeah,
not really bash everything
yeah.
in
We
a
can't
sweep.
generalize.
There
Yeah.
are pockets of brilliance, and we need to nurture them, and then those are the foundations to build on.
Absolutely. No, I think it's obviously we can't generalize, and we have seen some amazing examples, amazing exceptions, I would say, and we need to encourage them and keep pushing things in the direction that they're meant to be pushed. Murad, coming to you, Murad, we were talking about the low hanging fruits, and I mentioned that I'll come back to you on that. You have recently launched a startup in the ag tech industry, and you're also thinking of launching something in the health tech industry as well. So, what do you think are the low-hanging fruits in from AI and digitization perspective in the health tech and the ag tech industry? Do you really think that the kind of education and the kind of socioeconomic classes that we have prevalent in the country right now in huge numbers, do you think those people will be able to embark upon initiatives which require technological interventions, which require digitization, tablets, scoring models, etc.? What's your take on this? Are you hopeful uh, about a country progressing in that fashion?
So obviously, I would be hopeful since I've embarked on this journey, but it is a challenging industry. Starting initially talking about agriculture, and both are in different level of maturity. So when you talk about digitization in agriculture, it comes down to the same thing that you were talking about the corporates, that there has to be a reward at the end, and there has to be a change management process as well, and there has to be early adopters, people who believe in this as well. I think when you talk about agriculture, there is a lot of value that can be delivered through AI and digitization. There has been farm management systems in available since decades, but no farmers, not small, medium, maybe large farmers, would probably just use it, and they would just use it to use it as a purpose of record keeping, just like a ledger. So instead of writing it on a notebook, they have a system to enter the data in. But if you talk about digitization of farm, which from a data collection point of view, which will help a farmer, FAO has a pretty good guideline where they say that you have to collect data on plant canopy cover, meaning how much of the ground is being covered by the plant. Every 10, 15, 20 days, you have to um, uh, measure the plant height, you have to look at the plant stages, you have to see if all the plants are healthy. Now imagine doing that on a 500-acre farm. It's impossible to do that on a regular basis. So the this is where this is an industry where IoT and AI together can really disrupt that. IoT and AI can enable that data collection, which is not possible to do manually. It's tedious and time consuming and really not feasible to do it. Where the data collection can be done through these remote sensing systems, satellites, drones, etc., sensors in the ground. And then that data can be, after collecting, can be used to provide insight to the farmer, which can help improve the yield. So that's one area of digitization in the farming sector which we are focused on. And then there's obviously so this is basically seed to harvest, and then there's harvest to your table, which is again a manual supply chain system which can be digitized, and there can be efficiencies brought in, and there are startups working in that space as well. So I think the barrier we feel is going to be that we make the process painless for the farmer to collect the data, and we show value to the farmer that this improves his bottom line. They, and the adoption process will be that there will be innovators who will adopt, early adopters who will take on this and then slowly progress. But it is a problem, global problem, food security, a definite a big problem for Pakistan, and we feel that we are willing to invest years into developing something useful for our country, which can help improve the yield. And this is worth pursuing, worth trying, knowingly that this is a challenging space. We would still want to work and see if we can contribute. Health tech is at a different stage, Adnan. So health tech is more digitized. So when you talk about hospitals, they have hospital management system, patient management systems, employee health record, etc. Where the disruption is happening now, using digital technology, is on the diagnostic side. So we've all must have heard, using AI to detect cancer, using AI to detect other forms of illnesses, etc. So that is something where a lot of global and local work is being done. And the idea is that this will augment the doctor, or at maybe later stage even replace certain cases. The diagnostic side where the machine is actually doing the diagnostics. And again, I think that can disrupt that can be very useful for the human race overall. Talking about like uh, Pakistan, where we we're talking about skill set of qualified engineers. We have we don't have enough doctors, qualified doctors, good doctors as well. And if you can use AI systems to at least diagnose the disease in time for a mass population, um, that can really create a lot of value overall for the organization. So we're working in a similar space where we're working with um, uh, hospitals to see where we can contribute in the using AI and in the diagnostic side.
So that's very heartening to know, Murad. And I think if we can somehow address the farmers' profitability issue, food security issue of the country, which is obviously a big one, we are having close to 6 million additional net increase in the people, I would say, from the population perspective every year. And unfortunately, the yield has not grown. So this is the biggest challenge, I would say. If we can address that somehow through the power of digitization, that would be amazing. And even in the health sector, I would say, if we can do early diagnosis, more reliable diagnosis, that would make a lot of that would bring a lot of meaningful changes in the health tech industry. So thank you very much, Murad. I think we have got like tens of questions, but what I'll do is I'll pick three of them and we can get quickly some answers to them because we are already short on time. I'll pick one question. The question is about from Nu Sikandar. By the way, Nu is an amazing data scientist. Glad to see Nu on the call. Top 1% data scientist in the world, currently working in the Europe. Nu, your question is that there are a number of factors preventing the widespread use of AI. What would you identify as the most significant barrier in the use of AI? I will request Khuram Saab to please respond to this question. Do you think that there are many factors obviously preventing the use of AI, but do you think what would be the number one that you would rate, Khuram Saab?
So I'll sorry, talk about two. The
Yeah.
first one again is still the mindset. I think that is the number one. Okay. The second important thing is something which Asif had touched about is the fact that when you talk about AI, it's about working with a lot of data. And the big challenge here is that most of the organizations, the because of the slowness in terms of the cloud adoption and the policies that the government has around the data not leaving the country, and misnomer about privacy of data, etc., that prevents organizations from actually storing data on hyperscalers like AWS, where you could actually store lots of data, structured and unstructured, and then actually use those platforms for generating your AI algorithms and training them. So I think in terms of Pakistan, that's the other big challenge. We need to, if we want the country to develop, if we want digital transformation to happen, and the use of AI to happen, these boundaries have to, these kind of shields have to come down, and there are ways of ensuring PI data is it does not go. But then for AI to develop, it has to be managing extremely large data, historical data, and then using and training your AI models for it. So I think that's the biggest impediment from my perspective, because I see even telcos, etc., generating data, but then they have to, because of the high cost of on-prem data storage and then processing, but they kind of get restricted. That's to me the two big issues.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, Khuram Saab. Murad, we have a question for you actually. So Rafa is saying that on the topic of farming, A and IoT, question for Murad: is there potential and appetite to form artificial seed creation and seed germination for improved crop yield and quality?
So absolutely, I think I'll draw a parallel to the healthcare industry, where pharmaceutical companies use data to identify medicines, do research, and develop new medicines using AI. So it's being done over there. There are global companies that are doing similar things in seed creation as well. It's not at the same level of maturity, where genetically modified seeds are being developed. So I think so. There are two kinds of one way to create artificial seed is through genetic modification. The other way is picking right parents um, based on their traits, so that the seed that you get is suitable for where you're planting. So if you want a drought resistant seed, you would want a certain characteristics. So again, data can be collected from the wheat seeds, right, seed variety that you have globally, and you can build AI models and select which two seeds to pair to get to the right seed for the right country, region, etc. I think there is a lot of potential over there as well, for sure.
Thank you. I hope, Rafi, your question has been addressed. Thank you, Murad, for responding. We have a question, Asif, and I'll route this question to you. We have a question from Kashif, and Kashif is saying that education is one of the areas where Pakistan needs a lot of improvement. Obviously, it does. How can we leverage AI to improve education? Because we have talked about so many sectors where AI can help and digitization can help. Education sector is something that we shouldn't be leaving behind. So, any specific comments, any IBM solutions that you're working on specifically for the education sector?
Well, thank you very much. I think another interesting question, right? So, um, when it comes to education, especially the aspect of education that I tried to touch upon in my last answer, you don't need AI to resolve every issue. The education issue, I tell you, and during the COVID time, I think the online education has improved so much that for at least one decade to come, we know how to get educated. AI, yes, AI can be used for a number of things. You know, AI, augmented reality, a combo of some of these things can change the experience. I mean, today you just put up your Oculus, go and sit in a class in Harvard University, and if you're sitting in your capsule, I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little fiction now. So if you're sitting in your capsule, you even feel the temperature of the classroom as well. So I mean, all kind of crazy things are available, right? So it depends on where you want to stop. You know, having said that, education, what we saw, such great platforms have emerged in last 2 years for education. I mean, you can be sitting in, for example, in Pind Dadan Khan, if you have the right network internet connection, you can get educated from one of the finest faculty in the world. So for education, yes, AI may have a number of use cases for it. I think more than AI, I would say augmented and virtual reality have a great contribution in online learning. Of course, along with the content that's been created for this. But education is easy if you have the will. Uh, sky's the limit. That is how I would like to take this.
No,
Adnan,
absolutely.
sorry,
Yeah,
Adnan, I would just like to add.
please, Murad, please go
So since you talked about AI, and I think going back to the earlier point Asif made about education and not getting the right kind of education, I think the biggest challenge we have across the globe, but especially in Pakistan, is that there are very good institutions, but the challenge is that when the students they are entering college or university education, they do not get the right career guidance. So
ahead.
it's still the someone wants their children to be a doctor or an engineer or go into army, and a lot of time we say that we know what is the best for you, and then sorry to say a lot of these career counselors with schools and colleges, they're more focused on convincing the children to go to the universities in the West. For I won't say the ulterior motive which those education institutions. So I think one key area and something which I've seen and I've been part of the journey is using AI for providing career advisory
Yeah.
to the students. So, when they're getting into the universities or colleges, or even at their school level, when they have to take a decision, they want to go into art subjects or science subjects or accounting subjects. That's where, this use of AI, which is happening through this, I'll take the name My Career Dreams. It allows the students right from age 14 to 23, 24, when they're
Yeah.
getting into universities, to actually determine what is the right career choice they can make, where they have the right compatibility, because that is very important. Because what happens is, when these children go into the university, they go because their friends are taking up, let's say, electrical engineering, or the teachers are saying the merit for this civil engineering or electrical or electronics is high. But the student may have scored very good marks, but that's not a true reflection. So that's where I think one
Yeah.
very interesting area where AI is helping, and I think it's being used now by over 100 countries, students from over 100 countries. Selecting the right career for an individual is the most important thing. And it's not only important for the students, but actually for the parents, because it's the parents, like me, like Asif, who tend to think that we know better what is better for our children, rather than looking at or trying to understand what is their true potential and where they could excel. So I just wanted to touch upon this, because I think this is something which is very important. And I
No,
would definitely say a lot of organizations, individuals, parents can really take advantage of it.
No, absolutely, Asif. Thank you, and Khuram sir, thank you. Both of you have made amazing points, and I think जो आसिफ आपने बात की कि हर चीज को AI से करना जरूरी नहीं है. There are a lot of simple solutions that can transform our education industry. I absolutely agree with that. And Khuram
No,
sir,
no,
thank
that's
you very
the point. That was very important because
much.
what happens is that we all start to follow
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
the big words, and I mean, we just try to do everything with that, and that is where we mislead ourselves, our teams, and our customers. You don't
Yeah.
need, one thing to resolve every
Absolutely,
problem.
absolutely. And again, वही जो गजनफर ने बात की थी ना कि हमें भागने का शौक है before we even start walking, right? We want to be 3 steps ahead from where we actually need to be actually.
No, I
So
respect
I
your
and
experience.
Khuram sahab,
Our experience the same. That's
yeah,
that's what we tend to do.
and
So
Khuram sahab, your point about career counseling, well, I think AI can play an amazing role, and I think the solution that you mentioned, the My Career Dreams, I think Botnostic is an amazing example. I've tried that as well, so I think that's really heartening to know. Ghazanfer sahab, a question we have from Fahim Muslim, and I'll route that question to you. So Fahim, ka question is around the out of your experience, which industry vertical stands out in terms of adopting the AI immediately and accelerating digitization based on AI? Do you think that 5 or 6 industries that we have worked
Some do have an edge, and I think I touched upon it earlier. Telcos have an edge. They've been able to build a data foundation for themselves, and once you have that basic done, then you can move to the next stage there. But there are some amazing use cases in all the industries where you can actually benefit from. In retail industry, a lot of it is being done in the manufacturing industry in the area of predictive maintenance, where
Yeah,
they are, before the equipment actually fails, they are using the AIs through IoTs and stuff, sensors, to really sense and save millions and millions of dollars of worth of equipment before it kind of breaks down. So every industry, and again, to the point that all of us have in our panel discussion have made, that why do you want to do it? So there are use cases in retail, in financials, fraud, that's fraud is rampant, and how do you ensure that all the transactions that are taking place, and then pick that one which is fraudulent. Health, telcos, and even governments. We were part of something where we were doing the number plate capturing to really assess the persons of interest who were entering and exiting the cities in the safe city model that we implemented in PITB and Government of Punjab.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can pick any industry and you will find use cases that can deliver value. But again, to the basics, do you have the data? Is it integrated? Are you in a position to actually execute that use case? That's the key. And having the right partner, quite honestly, who actually helps you in that journey.
Obviously, that is imperative. If you don't have the right partner, you can everything will start falling out. So thank you very much, everyone. I am still getting a lot of questions, but obviously we need to close the session. We are already overrunning. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time. I can see many people live here. I'm sorry I won't be able to take all the questions, but
Adnan,
fine.
sorry, Adnan.
Yeah, yeah, please
If you
go.
can share the list of those
Yeah,
questions with us,
sure.
maybe
What?
we can respond back to you, and
Yeah.
then you could actually share it with the audience.
Bilkul, Bilkul. And Khuram sir, one question is for you. I would have loved to route that to you. It's on the screen right now from Hafsa. It's again about the graduates not able to find the right field. I'll share the list with you. That's not an issue. But yes, I would love for you to respond to such questions as well. So thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to join the session. And first of all, thank you very much to the panelists. Honestly speaking, having the country directors, C-suite of all these big organizations, leading Pakistan as the chapters. I think it's an amazing opportunity. Having people who have led startups and are launching new ones. I think this is, it's all about listening and hearing directly from their experiences and learning from them and to use them in our lives to actually help our country grow and technological landscape grow as well globally. So once again, thank you very much, and we will
Thank you,
definitely
Adnan,
post the
for
questions and
having
send
us.
you. Sorry for the disruption. We had some internet connectivity issues, but I'm sure we can forget them very easily from our short-term memory. So,
Thank you,
okay,
Adnan.
thank you. Allah
Thank
Hafiz.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Salam.